Welcome to Social Sauce, where we stop settling and ask for what we want. I'm your host, Keegan Remy, and this is episode 1. Woo! I'm excited, and I'm a little bit scared because I've never done something like this. I'm joined here today by the wonderful Jody Donofrio. She will be sharing her beautiful perspective on life and interviewing me about what is this experience that is the social sauce. If you hear some random growling or kinds of noises, then we are also joined by the beautiful Leonardo, which is a full-grown beast of a black Labrador. Maybe he'll make a guest appearance visually as well. So, thank you, Leo. When it comes to the intention for this, my hopes are that it is a space for learning and exploring and celebrating the social experience and how we navigate going from isolation and like, oh no, I don't want to be seen, I'm not enough, out into actually like, it's stuck, I can't get out, all the way through to, look at my tits, wow, I'm revealing all here right now.
Real Care Bear moment.
That was seriously activating my superpowers moment, you're right. So, thank you, Jody, for being here. I appreciate you being here. And from the 6 weeks or so that I've known you and gotten to hear some of what you value, I've learned just some pieces that I want to include in here for context, for like what would make me want to have you share your wisdom with us.
Okay.
Jody has been, how many years have you been, I guess, I want to have you share your story too, but being able to communicate with spirits, with animals, with beyond words, and also continuing to do rapid rewire with clients and helping people transform behaviors, not even at just a human level, but also at an animal level, helping to support people in their own, and animals in their own social conditioning to, as Joe Dispenza would say, break free of the habit of being yourself. Yeah, where do we want to go from here? Why don't you share with us anything else you think would be valuable to share? Like your just a mini blurb of like what you think is important in that work, and then ask me some questions here that we want to get into. And before you do that, I want to name, this is our first episode, and our intention is to really kind of reveal what is possible in this space. What kinds of games and time blocks do we want to have as a part of this show? So, Jody, what's something you want to say from your life that you think relates to social sauce? And then, after I pass the mic to you, you can bring the interview back this way.
Okay. Thank you for asking. In terms of the work that I've been immersed in and really enjoying, I would say the common thread is this duality between connection and communication. And that connection, as you mentioned, goes beyond words, but words are important too. And when I choose a form of communication that is individualized based on who we want to connect with, And so that could be someone in spirit, someone who has passed. It could be an animal here still in the physical realm. It could be an animal who's also passed. And when it comes to the rapid rewire transformational psychology work, it's helping people connect with their true selves, letting go of the conditioning that was laid upon them, letting go of the stories they tell themselves, letting go of the experiences that they've endured, and connecting with their inner wisdom and letting themselves experience more, thrive, ask for more. It's really beautiful to see people find peace and wisdom within themselves or through the spirits that they connect with. And I'm honored to be a part of the process every time.
I love to hear that. Thank you. I really appreciate the specific part about whether they're alive or dead, helping someone connect to that. How would I describe it in my own words? The other versus themselves, and be able to draw wisdom, whether it's from them or from within themselves as well.
Yeah.
Being able to witness the experience that's happening and be able to say, what's the benefit of this versus the curse?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put that.
Yeah. Cool, thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would we like to bring this towards? What question would you want to ask me around social sauce?
In terms of social sauce, my first question for you is, what are your biggest hopes and dreams for this platform?
Thank you. My biggest hopes and dreams for this, they would be that in this experience, I give myself permission to completely express rather than be monotone because I'm afraid of being too much. And by proxy, anyone that I would interview, anyone that witnesses this would be, with their own mirror neurons. By witnessing this, I think we all receive what we watch and it becomes a part of us. So it would allow others that are viewing to access that expressive part of themselves and reveal that to the world. Essentially to have that happen, if I was to ask like the why behind that why, I think it's because of a personal judgment that I have from my childhood or my teenage years of always being told, I grew up going to Baptist church where I was told to shut up, be quiet, sit down in the pew in these little benches and just like continuously want to like run and sing and dance and move and yell and just so many people just being shh.
Quiet as a mouse.
Quiet as a mouse. Yeah. That stifling just created so much shame for my expression as an adult. And I've been working, diligently for years on like surrendering the story that I'm not enough or that there's something wrong with me for how I am. So I think that's my hopes and dreams would be to eradicate the idea of being wrong as I am and allow other people to be seeing this, whether it's just me on the camera or I'm with an interview, that who I bring on this show will be people that also allow everyone involved to appreciate whatever expression wants to reveal itself, because that I've seen again and again, rather than trying to get it calculated and perfect, if the intention behind it is like that raw freedom, that has connected so much more to me and other people. You know, I can think about when I was in India, you know, a year and a half ago. This was during the pandemic. Right now it's November 17, 2023.
Yeah.
And when I was there, how am I describing this? This is a story meant to just illustrate that the connection to expression versus it being a stifling, and just like allowing it and appreciating whatever shows up. When I went to India, I just had one friend told me that, yeah, come down here. There's a resort that said they might take you on to work and then have like a room and board, and then you'll have a place to land and a bed, and you'll figure life out from there.
Okay.
And I just arrived on the beach with my 40-liter backpack and my ukulele, and I was like, this was the beginning of India. This is like 3.5 years ago. I was just like, I'm just gonna appreciate like whatever I got going on. I'm just gonna tell this guy this is who I am. This is what I'm capable of, and let's see what happens. Sure enough, he was like, amazing man. Told me to just don't even worry about this. Go to the kitchen, order whatever you want, have a seat, look at the ocean, take the day to just rest and land. And I just sat there eating my first Indian meal of my time there, a palak paneer, a spinach and cheese, you know, curry. And then the rest of my time there was just blissful, because I was like just sitting there feeling the wind hit me and smelling this salty air, able to just rest and feel at peace and know that however I'm being, he was like, we'll take you, you're welcome. I noticed my whole body just feeling like a weight off of it, just remembering the story. And so appreciating myself for who I was in that moment, it gave me no worry or shame about how I show up. I was like, I'm gonna be accepted or rejected, and that's not dependent upon like whatever he says to accept or reject who I am in this moment says nothing about my perception of that. So I just was content while I was in that moment. So yeah, that kind of brings us towards an example of just what I wanted for the mission for us. And next question.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm excited because I know how much you've already influenced me in the short time that we've known each other, and challenged some of the conditioning that I've had, and helped me in the moment change that with my thinking or my responses. So I'm excited for you to bring this to a platform where more people can experience it as well.
Thank you. That reminds me of what you're saying is like to just go for it in the moment. That's something I learned this from improv, of just like embrace the first thought you have, and from learning the art of seduction, of flirting. The idea they have in this world is the 3-second rule. You have an idea, different from picking up the food within 3 seconds. It's pick up the idea in your mind that you have to say something within 3 seconds, and not try to perfect it, but to accept exactly what's there. Sure. And I noticed the more that I can embrace that, that is a sauce that makes the social engagement much more spicy. It makes it much more, like I've read before on someone's comments from like a woman teaching men how to find their partner. Like, guys, if you don't have something to say, then don't talk to the girl. Have something to say. And I imagine what she intended there is just to be like, have something of interest in order to create a conversation.
Okay.
And I would challenge that as have something to say as actually like, that's bullshit. That's a trap that could prevent somebody who's in their fear from actually going forward.
Sure.
So instead, I would apply the 3-second rule and go, if I see you and I feel attraction, that's the boundary, that's the border that I need in order to go up to you. So that would be my permission slip to at least be like, okay, 3-second rule, going in. Hello. Yeah.
That brings up a question for me.
Go ahead.
What is your compass in terms of having something to say prepared? And I know you're touching on this 3-second rule versus going off of intuition.
Having something prepared in my mind versus having the intuition. I believe that at this level of my awareness, that my intuition is a amalgamation, like a compilation of what I have studied, what I have witnessed in my life. And therefore, when I go up to somebody and I'm going to say, what am I going to say to them? And I want to trust my intuition. It's like I'm literally in that moment having some sort of subconscious response that's reviewing what have I seen in movies, what have I already done, what has my parents or someone's people that raised them or people that I've seen in my life over my performative years, what has that demonstrated to me, and that's what's going to come out.
Okay.
And I run into that again and again, and then I've been like, ugh, this sucks, I don't want this, because I only get the same results that I have gotten from that response.
Sure.
Or from that engagement. So that's when I do have time to study how else can I consciously be in this situation from a way of design versus happenstance. And it's awkward. It's really awkward sometimes because I'm like trying to remember what to say, and maybe there's a way to say it, like by tone of voice. And so it brings up the question of how real am I being, or am I being a fake masked version of myself?
Sure.
So I think that the version of yourself that you show the world is actually a mask. And when you take that off and you're being real, that's still the real mask. Because I think that there's still there's still a part being played. I am, I think, just a group of parts that all live within one body, and they just take turns. So even the real one is still one that is a part of the ego.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that whether I'm going to be consciously designing my reaction in a new situation, whether it's for romance, for business, friendship, for play, after I do that a few times, suddenly it becomes automatic. Suddenly it becomes natural, organic. And people say, wow, you're so gifted. You're so talented. Meanwhile, that's just repetitions that have now become something that, a skill that has been so refined that it seems like it's effortless.
Okay. So I'm hearing learning, isolation, in terms of implementing it, trying it, experiencing, exploring it, and then no longer having to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Isolation. I like the way I might see that word as like in a different context, but in this context, what I see you saying is like choosing one piece to focus on, and developing that.
Yeah.
And I definitely see that's where you can measure your progress.
Yeah. when do you feel your mask is off? When do you feel it most?
When do I don't know if I can feel. I love this tool I've been learning the last year with my men's group, Men of Means, which they introduced me to this idea of radical honesty. And thank you, Soleil, for really opening the door for me to see this tool. That what we've looked at is when I say I feel, I would only allow myself to put behind that word a sensation in my body or a feeling emotionally.
Okay.
So when I hear the question, when do I feel like your mask is most off, I'm most real? I would rephrase that as, when do I imagine that my mask is off the most?
Okay.
I think there's moments of being in this state of consciousness where there is no filter, there is no planning, where I'm just coming from like the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I describe it. I'm either speaking to you from my mind or from my heart.
Sure.
I noticed just by saying that, like my body took a huge sigh, which I want to acknowledge. My heart is just like, come back to me for a moment. You're being in your head a lot.
Sure.
So thank you. I remember memories come up for me of when I've sang on stage as times where I've been most without the mask.
Okay.
Where I'm so surrendered in that moment of improv, not even like singing a song that I know, but literally improvising. Like I've been in a circle of people in Tulum before, in Mexico, and people are like taking turns to share songs or to share some distinction they want to share, something they learned. And I was there, there's just like 30 people all dressed in their like fancy cloaks and intentionally torn, beautiful gear from the beach that looks like they are the Tuluminati. All standing around me with their beads and their sacred geometry tattoos and of course, and everyone barefoot, thank God. I love that. And all the attention's in, there's some candles lit. And it's my time. I'd say, guys, I'd love to share something. I have no idea what I'm gonna say. I just know that my ego is like, I want everyone's attention. Please let me sing. That's what I'm thinking, And so that brought me, I just started expressing. And I noticed I was drawing pieces from like what other people had said. And then I was just like letting something come through me. The only, let's say, pressure that I think I was applying was saying, lean in, express 100%, don't hold back, give it all.
Like pressure on yourself?
Like, yeah, like instead of like letting myself, let's say, sit back in the chair, it's like sitting on the edge of the seat.
Okay.
I think that was the only like mask that I would say was on, the only like effort.
Okay.
The rest was just surprising me. I'm listening to myself talk outside of my mouth, like, oh, I said that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I would say I feel the most without a mask is when I'm surrendering to what that moment is.
Sure.
I could say it's the same when I'm doing a water therapy session with somebody. It's most commonly known as Watsu, Wata Flow is what I studied. There's Jansu, Dolphin Dance, the Rebirth Ceremony, all these different brands that are to have a guide and a receiver that is laying passively on the water's surface. And it's my intention, while I'm holding this person in the water with a nose clip on their face, so the water doesn't go and they can feel safer, is for me to just be like, what wants to be here? And again, it's another moment where it's like a surprise of what's going to happen. What movements will the bodies need? The waves are coming and crashing over us in the ocean, and I'm, whatever agenda I might have, I'm like, oh, this just took all that momentum out. What wants to be here now?
Okay.
And the same thing will happen to me in a conversation where we could be in a therapy session and I have an agenda of something that I want to guide the person towards, and then they say something I didn't expect, and I'm like, or they start to move their body in a twitch when they talk about something, and I'm like, that requires attention versus the conversation. And so, yeah, these are some of the answers or examples of where I would take the mask off. Which is actually, I want to share something about that. There's an amazing book called The Ellipsis Manual
Okay.
by a man named Chase Hughes. I went to one of his trainings in England, and I met him in a conference here in Florida, in Orlando. He was formerly in the CIA,
Okay.
and once he left, a lot of the work that he did for them and studied was made permissive to the public. So he wrote this book, The Ellipsis Manual, which described so many techniques about how to hypnotize somebody, how to brainwash, how to interrogate, how to create a spy, how to turn someone from another country to be on your side, how to have inception of an idea. And one of the most fascinating concepts that's related to what we're saying is the idea of the mask.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't, if I tell you, this is the most classic thing, if I tell you don't imagine a pink T-Rex, what happens? You see a pink T-Rex.
Yeah.
Your brain can't listen to it without imagining it and then wiping it away.
Yeah.
So the same concept happens when you want to talk to somebody and you notice that they're guarded.
Okay.
Have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you're like, they're guarded,
For sure.
their masks up, their shields up.
Something about them, they probably don't want to talk
Right.
for whatever reason. Yeah.
So a person has that happening, and when you notice that, if you were to just say, hey, relax, be like, fuck you, right? Yeah, even you lean back.
Yeah.
So when people tell you relax, it's like a command telling you what to do. At the same time, if you say, hey, what's wrong? Again, it's going to put someone on defense.
Sure.
Like, oh, you see me. Oh, gosh.
Not helping.
It's not helping. So a more valuable approach is to address the behavior through a story, and give a command that is within the story. It's embedded in the story, and you're just not aware that that's happening. And the way that this one is given is it's like,
I'm wondering if you've done this with me.
Maybe. I don't think I have actually. You already act like this. It's I did that, like, you know, being with you. It's actually really refreshing for me, because, you know, I've met a lot of people that they do wear a mask and they just hold back, and I don't know if I can trust them. But with you, it's like you've taken the mask off and you're just being real. And it's just so heartwarming for me that I can just connect with you one-to-one rather than anything else. So I just really appreciate that about you.
Great. Likewise. I'm glad you don't feel like you have to take anything off.
Yeah.
It's nice for me too, obviously. Like, and since that's the state of being I enjoy, it's nice to be around somebody who's already naturally that way most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware of what I did?
Can you be more specific?
Okay. So notice that as I finished talking, your body language changed. You leaned in. Your eyes widened. Like you're like, yeah, I want to see. You wanted to take in more light, receive more of what's in front of you. What I did was, I talked about how it's so refreshing that I gestured to myself how like some people just wear a mask.
Yeah.
So I like mined out wearing a mask, right, and how it stops us. And then I talked about how some people just take the mask and they remove it. And I literally reached out in space and took your mask off. And by doing something so simple as this and talking about it and saying it's just so refreshing, I'm now talking about a sensation in the body for you to feel after taking the mask off. So now there's an association, there's a storyline that runs through of what we are asking for as an operator to the person we're talking to.
As an operator?
Yeah, as an operator of, this is the language that he uses in the Ellipsis manual.
Okay.
As somebody who's guiding the process, you're an operator.
Okay.
So, yeah, just a super fascinating tip. Highly recommend that book. He's got a new one actually. That's just like $250. It's like a thick manual that is meant to be a reference guide for any situation in your influence journey.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see this book.
Yeah.
And its contents. Even if it's like renting it at the library, checking it out.
Yeah, no, it's half the press, so it's not there yet. But,
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I've got around the story of masks right now.
Okay. I'm curious what overview you'd like to share in terms of your history of social dynamics.
Sure.
Awareness and what's worked for you, what hasn't, when you really wanted to focus on this pathway.
Yeah, as you say that, I see there was this old show. There was this old show that, just like that pen dropping, the characters in the show would be from this show called Wayne's World.
Okay.
You know the show?
I vaguely remember it.
Okay, so these two guys, they're just like totally like have the vibe of like stoners and silly guys, and they would have this moment of like breaking the wall and talking to the camera in the show and being able to say, guys, wow, it's totally different life. We can tell you what's happening between me and Jody here. And while they would do that, they'd look at the camera, and then if it was like a flashback to the earlier times, they would just like, so I see this. Will you do it with me? Because we also have blonde and black hair like the two characters in the show. So. I mean, I think back at the heart of it all is like when my parents split, I became a dancing monkey to like make my mom happy.
Sure.
And get my dad's attention because he was busy working as a military officer. So I was like, how do I get some love?
Yeah.
So expression became that craving for validation.
And that's how kids are wired, is to figure out what's needed in their environment. It's really how you're built, so it makes sense that you were...
Like you make everything as a kid about yourself.
It's just like...
You talking about that or something else?
Not necessarily even about yourself, but it's like the product of your environment. How do you get your needs met?
You are a product of your environment, and you get your needs met. I think our need as a kid is just love and like acceptance. And so anything that happens that's not love, we go, what did I do wrong? I'm not receiving love right now.
Yeah.
I think that's how I interpret it. And so I've studied and learned. And so from there, going into the Marine Corps, and through high school, it was all this experience of like, convincing my mother with cancer, with breast cancer, to like help me and my friends, at 16 years old, get some booze so we could go and have fun and drink in the woods. What do kids do if they can't, go to a bar?
Yeah.
So my influence game started with like trying to encourage my mom to help me be one of the cool kids.
Sure.
And I could be the guy that has the cool mom that helps us have some beers and play in the woods.
Yeah.
And there was moments when mom would drive the car up, pop the hood, and then my friend and I would like slink out of the dark forest, grab 2 30 cases from the trunk, and then be like, "Love you, Mom," and then slink back into the forest. She's like, "Be careful!" Oh God,
Sure.
And we're just there like, "Ha ha! Let's go, guys! How many can we chug?" I love you, Mom. I love you. Thank you. So fast forward from learning the basics of influence, but kind of like guilt tripping or just being like relentless.
Yeah.
To encourage someone to do what you're asking. I think I Googled how to quit smoking cigarettes when I got out of the military because I was like, I'm tired of this.
Okay.
And I found hypnosis could help me quit, and NLP. So I studied this, helped myself quit through that.
NLP, I forget what that is.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Thank you.
Basically, these 2 guys, John Grinder and Richard Bandler, studied some of the most famous therapists and hypnotists, and they could watch them across the span of multiple clients and determine, wow, there's literally like a categorical, like step-by-step process you're going through to help the people create change.
Okay.
So they turned therapy processes and hypnotic processes that seemed like they were just magic into a formula that any layman could just look at a paper and go, okay, do this now.
Okay.
That's what NLP is. That's what I imagine Rapid Rewire, which you have studied, is a spin-off of.
I mean, there are some protocols that, especially level 1, I mean, I could just hand you the paper and you can read it to me right now, and you can take me through the protocol perfectly.
Yeah.
Because the structure is very intentional. But I'm not super familiar with NLP to say for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I could take a look. That would be a fascinating topic for one of these podcasts. So I think that started my journey where I saw how potent it was that I could stop a habit like smoking cigarettes every day, free myself from this. And I was like, what else can I do? So I went through school for hypnotherapy, like a 500-hour training course, so 425 and then 75 practical supervision, and then longer courses in Ireland and online and NLP practitioner training programs and Tony Robbins life coach training and learning personality systems with the DISC that he does. Yeah, so it's been over 8 years that I've been in this work, working with clients, working with myself, trying to meet women, because trying to be a salesperson, you'd be astounded how much of this is all, it's the same thing with different labels.
Sure, I could see that.
Therapy, romance, business, like in sales, they're just the same thing with a little bit different language.
Okay.
So that was kind of a trajectory bit of where I went in my path to learn this stuff, and I'm hesitating because I'm wondering where to take it, because I could give a lot deeper detail. Essentially, gosh, I just want to say, learning from a book, it seems like it's so stupid and so simple it's stupid to say, but learning from a book versus having referential experience of the thing are very different.
Oh, absolutely.
And so reading a book like, Turning Frogs into Princes by NLP, or The Game about how to meet women, they had their own knowledge that was eye-opening to see another world is possible when you look at what these people talk about.
Okay.
But then to go out and practice a technique with a client, then to go out, or with myself, or then to go out to a bar and meet a girl and talk to her within these ideas and frames of like learning what the dynamic is between a man and a woman, what it can be versus what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that it's plastic and malleable by having the practice of being with the person. Tony Robbins says something like, if you want to change your life, he's like, commit to like really high level circumstances where you just know backing out. Because in that moment, you will feel your brain immediately expand in the neural activity and have more capacity grow on the other side of that. Because it's safer for your brain to evolve and help you handle a situation than to run away in that moment.
It's safer? Is that the word you used?
Yes. So the example I could say is like, if I see you and I want to talk to you, oh, here's a beautiful woman, I want to talk to her. But I'm not over there yet. My brain could make me feel safe by staying here, because the threat of your rejection is scary. Or from evolutionary psychology, the idea that if I said something to you that was wrong, I could be kicked out of the tribe. Like that's still running through our genes.
Sure.
So our brains are designed to be lazy and to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we go into an interaction, like I just walk up and say hi, right after that, it's more safe to stay in it
Sure.
than to awkwardly leave.
Yeah.
So you want to take charge of that function the brain has to keep you safe, and just put yourself in the conversation and let it, trust it to grab all your years of experience and help you navigate.
Okay, that's a good example. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I agree. Once you're committed, it's real weird to walk away.
It's super weird to walk away.
Yeah. You've lost your opportunity.
Right, that brings us right back to the idea of the 3-second rule.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to play a game right now, the word association game.
Okay.
I say a word, you say what first comes to mind, back and forth, boom, 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 boom.
And then I say a word.
So I say a word, you say a word. I say a word, you say a word. And it's always, what is the first association we have off of the word the other person just said?
Okay.
Without judging it as right or wrong, or cool or not cool,
Sure.
or gross or inappropriate. Like you just like, what comes up? Yeah. Okay. Earring.
Ear canal.
Ear canal. Oh, okay. Train.
Train wreck.
Oh. Ex-relationship.
Sadness.
Radical honesty.
Intense.
Intensity.
Exciting.
Thrills.
Horror movies.
Horror movie. Michael Jackson eating popcorn.
Conflicting.
Choices.
Difficult.
Video game.
Boring.
Judgment.
Not necessary.
Priorities.
Helpful.
Try not to be swayed by your eyes and your emotional expression. A maid.
A maid?
Yeah, like a Someone that cleans for you.
A blessing.
Men of means. My men's group.
Also a blessing.
You can't repeat yourself. That's one more rule we didn't say.
Trailblazing.
A Chevrolet car. Trailblazer. Scene. It was fun, right?
That was super fun.
What's really cool too is this is a game that I would share with the clients that I work with. I had a client before, his name was John, and he was really afraid. He didn't know what to say whenever he'd go up and talk to someone. And so I gave him this game. We went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Okay.
And then I gave him one more really amazing tip that I've seen all of my clients that I work with really get a bunch of value from.
Okay.
Can I share it with you?
Please.
Okay. And I want to share this with you guys. So you get this association going, boom, 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 boom. Then you can turn this into a conversation by saying this 3 words. They're so powerful. I want you to really if this is all you get from this time we had together, I want you to get this. The 3 words are, the magic words are, this reminds me. 4 words. This reminds me of. That reminds me of. This reminds me of. So, give me a word.
Nature.
Nature. So, nature reminds me of the fact that I just left living on the beach because I love the ocean. I used to think the ocean was horrible, and I would get sand in my ass, and I was like, I hate this.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone. And that reminds me of how I actually would avoid the beach or the pools because I had fear of dying in the water.
Well, how the tides have changed.
Exactly. And that reminds me that I use the brand Tide to make my clothes look as fresh as I do. So you see what I'm going, the conversation goes bing, 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 bing from topic to topic because I'm using that phrase, this reminds me of,
True.
to connect it, the bridge. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to say. It's like I could just be hearing 2 people talking in conversation and I haven't spoken in a while. And I'm like, I want to contribute. And you could just be mid-sentence and I can go, that reminds me of, and you trust your brain to, I'm already in there, I gotta say something now. Just like we talked about before. It's safer to say something versus just brain fart. So you
I hope I see you do this soon.
Deal. So it's a great tool. I really recommend you guys use this as a way to just never run out of something to say and be able to contribute and feel like you don't have to stay on the sideline with your drink, sipping from your straw, hoping the conversation finally leads to something that you love. You can take whatever somebody says and go, that reminds me of, and find the bridge to what you love, what you're passionate about.
Beautiful advice.
And that would be the social sauce.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Jody, for your questions, your presence, and I really admire your willingness to kind of explore, take on this opportunity with me.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I know it would be fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. What else? Is there any other closing game we like to do?
Game? Of course I'd like to play a game. Anything else in closing? I think it could be fun to mention future topics you'd like to discuss and share.
Cool, I love that. Yeah. What would I love to share? The theater is one of my favorite things. I always wished I was in theater as a kid. I think I watched my mother do a few plays. So I would love to bring the theater into this, storytelling, understanding how to read body language. What is it that this gesture means? When someone raises their shoulders when they say something, what does that telling me? When they blink when they say something, why are they blinking? Do they actually mean it or are they lying?
Sure.
So how can I spot a lie? How can I spot attraction when someone's turned on? How can I spot when someone's nervous or shy? What can I say to that person to help them feel comfortable and open up? So learning about how we can help ourselves and other people feel really safe to create an incredible connection with each other. How to drop the masks and the walls, or build them if we want, against what we want to repulse in our life.
Sure.
What we want to direct ourselves towards needs to have, blinders sometimes to keep us on target. So these kinds of topics, radical honesty, how do we abolish toxic shame from our lives? It's one of the few emotions that we experience that I've been learning is actually a choice. Shame is it's the only emotion that is a choice to feel or not feel. The idea is that, we'll get into this in a future episode, but
that's a big conversation.
It's a big conversation. But essentially, guilt is when you feel like you did something wrong against your own values, and shame is when you did something wrong, you think, against somebody else's values. So you're trying to live up to someone else's values. That's why we go, oh my God, I feel shame about this.
I have a lot of questions.
I love that. We'll leave that as the cliffhanger for our future episodes. And I think that's it. It feels great.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel happy. And so, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Leo. And this is the end of episode 1 of Social Sauce. So until next time, don't settle. Ask for what you want. Hi, Leo.
Hi, buddy. Hi, Willow. What's up, buddy?